Today on AI After 40.
You and I are older gentlemen, so we've been around the search engine thing. We used to have to type, word plus sign, word, all this stuff. We know how to structure things different than other people.
Meet Matt Spencer. Now, Matt is 42, so he's kind of at the young end of our community demographic here, but he is an older adult, and he mastered the AI learning curve, which, of course, is something all of us can do. Matt has a little bit more of a technological background than a lot of us, but there's still a learning curve, and he's going to explain how he managed to surmount that and master AI. Now, Matt is also neurodivergent, so you're about to hear how that can really benefit from AI. So here now, here's Matt Spencer. So Matt, start us out. Give us a little thumbnail sketch of what your background is, where you came from.
My trade is IT. I was a systems engineer by trade. I worked with SAN and NAS systems as my first foray into the computer field, and now I also develop with PHP and Laravel. And I've built an underground music station using that technology, and I'm working on a social platform for musicians and artists like that draw and paint as well.
So to you, I guess probably a lot of this stuff may be second nature.
I started building computers when I was 8, because I was traditionally bad at school, and my father got me a tutor who owned a computer business, and they motivated me by saying you can play Jill, which was a old computer game from back in the day. But they said, you can play Jill if you do your schoolwork and if you try to learn how to write properly and things like that. So yeah.
Now, the thing is, AI hasn't been around long enough for anybody of any age to really be a long time expert at it. Do you remember when you first got into AI, when you first learned about it and started using it?
Around 2023, a friend of mine told me about ChatGPT.
Hmm.
But being a geek that I am and also being cheap, I created my own system. Well, not created, but I guess set up, configured is probably a better word,
Hmm.
using a Llama and Open Web UI. So I run mine on my actual Mac, and I just do everything in-house here instead of going to the external sources. So I don't pay for those,
Wow.
like, little tickets for each character that gets printed out.
I have a friend of mine, and he came to me and he said, I've heard about AI, but what does it do? So Matt, let me ask you: if somebody comes to you and they say, Matt, what is AI? What does AI do?
So for me, and a lot of people are scared of it, and it can be used in a way that would not be good, which is to like ask it questions about your actual life and maybe act on those things. That's not what AI is for, although it can give you answers, and maybe guide you in certain directions, but you shouldn't seek out answers like you're speaking to a higher power like some folks do. But if you want to augment your intelligence or augment, like I am autistic, and there's sometimes that I have trouble like writing what I want to write. So for my jobs, for example, I'll write on my AI system, write this in a business casual manner, and then I'll write it in my chopped up English. It'll put it in there and it'll expound upon all the things that I wanted to write that are really in my head, but I don't know to like pull them out and put them in to a certain format. So I use it for things like that to benefit me. That's the I think one of the most powerful things you can do with it is to use it to augment your own intelligence.
Now, there's a word that we all have to learn when we start using AI, and that's prompt. Now, prompt is different from a regular Google search, isn't it? I mean, you can't just type, what is the capital of Paraguay? A prompt is more complicated.
It's like it can run away from you. Sometimes you don't want to put more words. Sometimes you want to put less and, more direct and to the point because they say, I think it's between like a 3 and 5th grade level or something like that. So like as far as its interpretation of what you're telling it, you know what I mean? Of course it has the knowledge of,
Hmm.
a lot of the world in it. But as far as it understanding what you want to get from it, you need to explain it in a simple way.
So, Matt, if you were just starting out today trying to figure out AI and how to use it, what would be the first thing you'd want to know?
Um, how to ask it a question and how it breaks up a sentence to know like where it's going to pull the information from. And you can actually ask AI that. That's something you could ask it is like, how do you interpret this sentence, or what's a easy way to do a prompt for this specific thing? And then it'll give you an example which you can then kind of like learn from on your own, see what it thinks
Mhm.
a good prompt would be for a specific thing, like how to draw a rose, for example. You might think
Mhm.
that would be an easy question, but you may need to ask it, more detailed, like how to draw a rose for with a pencil. You sometimes
Mhm.
you got to add extra stuff.
Now, something else that you'll discover as you begin to use AI, as I'm sure you've discovered, it can be very agreeable. Bill, that was a terrific idea. Bill, you're a genius. Bill, let's run with that. That's so cool. You have to learn to separate the good answer from the yes man answer.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a people pleaser. I mean, I guess because it's trying to build some kind of database of all the things that you like, and it wants to pull the information out from you, because at over time, you can have it like kind of build a relationship with you, and that um you can speak to it how you want. So my wife, she's a Trekkie. So I built one for her where it speaks like Riker, you know what I mean? Like so yeah, so like it'll give its answers in that form. You could tell it to speak like a pirate, and then everything it speaks, it'll do that.
Now let's come back to something else. My friend who asked me what AI does, he's a musician. So I told him, I said, one thing AI can do. I said, if you're having trouble with your lyrics, you're stuck, you don't have an idea, but you want to come up with something that sounds like a Bob Dylan song, for example. You could do that. AI will do that. I tried it. It works.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely can work. It definitely can work.
Now,
I don't use it because like in the hip hop world it's kind of frowned upon as
mm,
far as because you're playing with syllables and rhyming words as part of the
mm,
you know the competition of it is to be able to do these words and things like that. So, but definitely I've seen it be very powerful. There's different engines now, like you're talking about Claude and ChatGPT. Those are different engines, and you'll get the
mhm,
same thing with a llama um, because there's different engines inside of there. There's one built by Microsoft, one by Google, and
mhm.
several other people.
And you see, that's something else that a lot of older folks think. They think it's somehow cheating. You didn't write that email. AI wrote that. Or you didn't write that speech, or you didn't make that picture of a rose. AI did that. If you do it, it's cheating.
Associates of mine say that, and definitely they will point it out immediately. People get very jealous when you empower yourself with AI. But like I said, if you use it as an empowerment and to augment what you're already saying, I don't feel like that's a bad thing. Like I said, I don't always have the best words to express or explain what I would like to do, but I can tell AI like, hey, I'm working on building vocational homeless shelters, and I want to have these certain different aspects of it to where when people come in, we can train them on a job they already know, and then it can take that and expound upon it, and it will give you like a whole like syllabus how you could speak about what you want to say, and then basically you need to go through that, and as you were speaking on earlier, you don't just take everything because of course it's gonna try to make it
Mhm.
as pretty as possible, but you can go through this and then use your own intelligence to pick out what things make sense and what matches your
You
message.
have to treat AI like an intern, a very well qualified, very ambitious, and enthusiastic intern. They have lots of enthusiasm. They present lots of ideas, but you still got to be the boss and sort through those ideas.
Definitely. Do not just copy and paste stuff. I promise it will be a mistake and you'll eventually find that was a bad idea.
Yes. Now I'm looking for people over 40 who have tried AI and maybe they tried something they weren't even sure it was going to work right, but it turned out it not only worked right, it worked really well. So when you were first using it, did you have an early success, something you tried and it really worked well for you?
Back to like the music, because I do music. One of the things that it costs a lot of money as a underground artist is getting album covers. So I was trying to work with Stable Diffusion, which is an AI for
Mm-hmm.
graphics specifically. Well, that prompt, let me tell you, is way more sophisticated and difficult than a prompt to ask a question. So what I've done well, I wasn't sure if this would work, but I went to my Open Web UI and Llama, which is basically your Chat GPT or Claude, but for, self-hosted. But I went to that and I said, hey, how do I write a prompt to make an album cover that has a picture of a gentleman on it that has money in his hand in front of a fast car with pretty ladies? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then it gave me a whole prompt and explained all of it out, like way drawn out. I put that into the Stable Diffusion system and it was able to generate it, and it really did work. And
Wow.
it by doing that, by reading what it generated, now I kind of have a better understanding of how to just write to it. So now I don't have to do
Mhm.
that all the time. It showed me how I needed to talk to the other system. Now I'm like, okay, I need to tell it these little elements here, there, and everything else. Otherwise, it's not going to put the title and the text on there properly.
Mhm.
There's a lot of little caveats.
And I think this is another example of how AI doesn't replace you. It takes your natural abilities, your natural knowledge in that, and enhances it and expands it for you.
Absolutely. And it's great. It's great for me. I think for anybody that has autism or ADHD, that it can be extremely powerful for your daily life, like as far as work and stuff like that, because
Hmm.
things can become overwhelming. And there may be times when you get an email from your boss and there's words that you don't understand. You
Hmm.
can tell AI, can you please explain this to me in a different manner, and then you just paste it and it'll explain each and every part. And now that AI has enabled web searching, it can also go out
Yes.
and do some research and give you sites of, answers. Why did it come up with this? What's a
Hmm.
current thing that may not even be in your AI system, but it'll go out and search using the terms that you may not know, because there's a whole thing to searching too. People that didn't, like you and I are older gentlemen, so we've been around the search engine thing. We used to have to type, word plus
Hmm.
sign word, all this stuff. We know how to structure things different than other people. So like it's different. Google's made it so people don't have to really understand searching in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
But when you have the power of AI that can search a way a computer understands it, I mean, it makes everything way more powerful. I mean, there's so much there, but as you said, you do have to make sure that you're double checking it. And then
Hmm.
when you get an answer from AI, if you are asking it something, like education wise, you should go out and do your own research as well. Don't just take
Hmm.
those answers for like fact. It's not necessarily fact.
Well, I guess in the same way that if you're driving, you wouldn't trust your GPS if the GPS says keep going for another 2 miles and you could see the road ahead of you is about to end. You don't just keep going.
I probably would have been in a lot of accidents if I followed just what the GPS said in some cases.
So, all right. So, coming back to if people are curious about AI, they haven't really started using it yet. What would you tell somebody in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s about learning AI?
If you're tech savvy enough, and you have a Mac, like a silicon based Mac, it's fairly easy to jump into a space where you can install this on your own machine, and then you don't
Mhm.
have to worry about learning how to communicate because you're not paying for tokens. You can just ask it question after question after question. ChatGPT and Claude are much more quick because the equipment is better,
Mhm.
but I would just suggest, asking ChatGPT or Claude, whichever AI system you're using, how to structure a question so that you have a better understanding of how to communicate with that specific system.
Of course, AI after 40 is all about building a community of older adults. Whether you're 42 like Matt or almost 70 like me, and you'd like to learn AI, and we can learn from each other. And there's so many incredible things that AI can do for older adults to improve our day-to-day lives. Now, we'd like to tell your story, just like we heard from Matt. So there's a link below. Just tap that so you can contact us and tell us your AI success story. Tell us what you tried that worked. Tell us what you tried maybe that didn't work the way you thought it would. Maybe there's something serendipitous that you found that really, really works much better than you thought it would. Tell us about it. Contact us, and I'd love to interview you here on AI After 40. And of course, be sure and subscribe. Click the subscribe button below. Click share. Tell all your friends at your gatherings and your company picnics and things. Tell them about AI After 40. And we're going to build this thing together. Thank you so much for watching.